of Talking Big Jobs, a webinar-based live interview series featuring conversations with mathematical scientists who work in business, industry, and government. Big. I'm Katie Waddle, host for this episode, and a graduate student in mathematics at San Francisco State University. We're live here in Denver, Colorado, in the Colorado Convention Center for the Joint Math Meetings. Before we begin this interview, a word about our sponsors. This series is part of a collaborative effort of the American Mathematical Society, the Society for Industrial and Applied Mathematics, to bring resources to people interested in careers that grow out of training in the mathematical sciences. These efforts are coordinated by the Big Math Network, an organization of professional associations in the mathematical sciences, and they receive generous financial support from Philippe and Claire-Lise Tondeur. Today I'll be interviewing Stephanie Fitchett, a mathematician and statistician who has worked in academia, government, and industry, and is currently a data scientist at the insurance company Transamerica. This is a live interactive event, which means that you, the viewers, can submit questions for our guest through the Zoom interface you are using to participate, or our live audience may submit some questions as well. Let's get started. So, Stephanie, you did your undergraduate work at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
I did.
And then you made a decision to go to graduate school. Can you talk a little bit about that decision and how you decided to continue in math?
Because I was very lucky. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I checked in with my undergraduate advisor near my last semester as an undergraduate. And he said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Have you thought about graduate school?" I said, "No, not really." But he proceeded to walk my file down to the department chair, who called me in and said, "I think you should go to graduate school. Let's get you set up." And that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah.
So I had intervention, which I am extremely grateful for, Gordon Woodward and Jim Lewis.
Yeah. And you studied algebraic geometry,
I did.
Commutative algebra for your Ph.D.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about your graduate school experience?
Yeah, it was wonderful. So the University of Nebraska has a very supportive environment for graduate students, wonderful faculty. I probably wasn't the best prepared student to go to graduate school, and they worked with me on that, and I think they have a tradition of doing so.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, some people I think get in really competitive programs. I didn't feel that way when I was in graduate school. I felt that competition more after I left, but not so much there, which was, I feel lucky again on that.
Yeah. So you decided to keep going.
I did.
Can you talk a little bit about what you did first after graduate school?
So I did a teaching postdoc at Duke University. I did a lot of teaching while I was in graduate school. I loved it. It seemed like a teaching-oriented faculty position was going to be the right thing for me. Mm-hmm. And Duke had these teaching postdocs where I got to work with people that were doing calculus reform, early calculus reform. Langmore and David Smith and Jack Bookman, they were all really great to work with. Inspirational that, you actually can write a grant proposal and get one. Phenomenal experience.
And then you found a really neat academic position at Florida Atlantic University. Can you talk a little bit about, it was a pretty distinctive position because you were starting a new program. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Honors College there was a new liberal arts college that they built on a branch campus of the main university. And we opened the doors to students the year I started there. There were 5 faculty members there a year before, but we got to build a new program from the ground up. And it was crazy busy and hugely fun.
It sounds like a really intimidating position as like a new professor to be trying to start a new program. What was exciting about it? What was hard about it?
Well, I think, it was a small group. There were maybe 16 faculty members and only 40 or 50 students the first year. I think we were somewhat intimidated by the amount of committee work and red tape and bureaucracy that we had to deal with, but it was a group of people that were largely coming off postdocs, not super experienced from around the country. We all came in from outside places and really bonded and made friends and worked hard.
Yeah. It sounds like a kind of position where maybe most of your focus would be on teaching and there would be less time for research.
I think that's how it ended up. Definitely there were research expectations for tenure there, but because of the whole startup, there was a lot of emphasis on teaching. That's right.
Yeah.